is this place? Am I dreaming? Am I dead? I hope I'm not dead. It doesn't smell like heaven. I'm very confused and disoriented. Oh, wait a minute. I know where I am. It's Imagine That with Hearty White. WFMU presents Imagine That. Oh, I know where I am. Hello, friends. I'm inside my head. I knew I recognized this place. It's foggy. That's how I knew I was inside my head. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I've talked about this place with you many times on the radio. A lot of people will refer to it as their mind palace. But mine isn't really a palace. It's more of a mid-century modern split level, and this is the rec room. This is where I keep my imagination and a lot of my memories. That's what these things are here, scattered around. They're my memories. I don't even recognize a lot of them. They're strange even to me. You gather them over a lifetime and you put them in places. And then when you want to use your imagination, you go and you revisit them so you can see them again. And that's what I'm doing. I'm visiting my imagination. And you know, your head is a wonderful place to be because you're entirely alone. Oh, really? You're not entirely alone. Butchie, well, what are you doing here? I live in your head rent-free. Oh, that's a coincidence because you live in my house rent-free. Oh, Lou is here too. But you know, they might not be the real Lou and Butchie because in your head, you have a replica of everybody you know, but it's not really them. You can use them though to help you with your imagination. So if I want to do something and maybe I want to involve Butchie, please don't. All right, but let's say I do, but don't. All right, well, then I don't want to use the real Butchie because he's busy and he's mean. So a lot of times I will use someone in my imagination. Now, why are you talking about this at all, Hearty White? Your imagination, we all have one. Do you though? See, a lot of times as we grow older, we put away some things that we think maybe are childlike or childish, like diapers. But we might need them later, so get them out, just get a bigger size. But a lot of times imagination gets thrown out too, and we're afraid to be expressive or do things. And what I'm helping you do now is maybe regain a little bit of that. And I'll tell you why soon. I will reveal it at the end of the show, why it's the most important thing in the world, perhaps. And I'm going to help you do it. So let's loosen up. You said, well, maybe you're around other people, and maybe they can see you, so you might not want to do it entirely, but we want to loosen up. You want to be able to move your body the way you did when you were a little kid. And we're afraid to do it now. We want to look like we're grown up or something. So we don't get as loose as we could be. But here, in our mind, we have access to everything. All we have to do is think it. So if I want a ukulele, then I get a ukulele. I can have anything. Oh, I'm so glad to be able to share it with you. The first thing I'd like to do is a little exercise, and what I call it is acting like a puppet. So let's act like a puppet a little bit, and what I would like to do is act like a marionette. I used to do this when I was a kid. So it gets all loose. Get all loose in your spine, and imagine that there's wires on all your limbs. If you've seen some of those, if you grew up in the 1960s or something, they had some of these marionette shows that were not intended to be funny, but they were. And so I like to do that. And why are you hitting yourself? Butchie, cut it out. Butchie, cut it out. Why are you hitting yourself? All right, let's not do that because it's important to maintain control of your own body. You don't want to give it away to somebody else. Don't give control of yourself to others necessarily. And where can you have perfect control? in your mind. So if this seems like a children's show to you at all, that's important. It's important to go back. Let's go back. Let's do things we did when we were watching, let's say, Captain Kangaroo or something. Maybe it wasn't a kangaroo in your area. Maybe you had like a local show, Captain Monkey Pants or something like that. Say, yes, our captain was a monkey and he didn't have pockets and he was just nude and he threw carrots at people dressed up as puppets. That's fine. That's something that people do. But I like to play a little music and march. So I want to introduce you to my friend. I've got friends visiting. Now this first one's kind of strange. You can say, how's that a friend? It's my bass. Miss Kim, could you hand me the, oh, thank you, Miss Kim. See, that's Miss Kim. Now, Miss Kim is in my imagination, but she's also a real person. And in real life, she's a very gifted and talented musician. But more importantly, she's the type of person that brings you a casserole when you've had a death in the family. And that, to me, is like the most famous kind of wonderful person. So I included her in my imagination to hand me something precious, like my bass, which is my friend. Now, you might look at it and you say, oh, that doesn't look like you. It's pink and it has cartoon stickers on it. Well, I don't want my friends to look like me. I like them to be different than me. I want them to compliment me and go together like peanut butter and olives or something. So I'm going to put this on, and what we're going to do, hey, bass, what is that? What do you want to do? You want to play music? All right, why? So we can march. All right, they always like to march on children's shows. Why is that? In case we need to form an army together to take over the world, because maybe the world's being run by people who want to rob us of our imagination. They want us to move in a certain way. They want us to talk in a certain way. They want us to sing in a certain way. And we say, no, we're going to have a parade. We're not necessarily an army. What are we? We're scary 1930s Macy balloon floats or something. So let's march. Will you march with me? I can't see my laptop. I can't see you, so you just get up and march. March. I saw you last March. I did. It's a month named after what we're doing. What is the chord you're playing? Oh, they're the magical chords of A minor, E minor, F, and C. Every song I like has those chords in it. Now imagine the parade that you've seen before. Maybe it's the parade in the movie Paprika or something, where there's refrigerators marching you and toy gates marching. It doesn't have to be conventional. It doesn't have to be a baton troop from the local middle school. It can be something absurd. Is it absurd? Why are things that aren't necessarily real considered absurd? Maybe because nobody has dreamed them before. If something hasn't been dreamed, it hasn't been dreamed. There's so many things and creatures left unborn because nobody's dreamed them yet. Maybe they reside in your dream. Maybe they're in your mind palace. What if we explored my palace? We went inside the rooms where we haven't been before. We find clues. There's someone living here. What is it? Is it a cat? Is it a lamp? It's a lamp, but it's a living lamp. It's a living lamp, and it wants to be your friend. Say, I will march with you, but I can only go so far because I have a power cord. And you say, I've dreamt up a marching wall socket. And the wall socket gets up and says, thank you for creating me. And you plug your lamp friend into the wall socket, and you and the lamp in the wall socket, you go marching in the street, and all your neighbors look at you, and they think you're created something. Oh, thank you, Basie. Oh, that's so nice. I love you too. Oh, thank you. Let me take it off. There's little stickers on here. This is my, I'm just gonna hold up this camera, see if they see it. This is my favorite. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a heavy man. He's naked and has his socks on. And in Japanese, it says, selfish body, uncle. But it's not selfish, really. What he's doing is just being himself, saying, I don't care what I look like. I don't care what the people think my body is misshapen. I want to sit around here like this with all my beautiful flesh and all my stupid socks on because my feet are cold, even though my butt isn't. Isn't that funny how your feet can be cold, but your butt isn't? Probably because they don't have as much insulating fat on them. Well, you know what else I like to do to get my imagination stimulated is play dress up. I have my box of hats, and everybody should have a box of costumes and hats. That's what I have right here. Now, when an oyster makes a pearl, that starts with something like a grain of sand that gets into the oyster. It's an irritant, and the irritant forms the pearl. So I would like to irritate you now. So, it's like almost like you're a prop comedian. Oh, wow, that's what's wrong with that. What's wrong with that if people make us laugh or something, or try to make us laugh and then don't, and so we laugh at them. Still, win-win. Well, I love this hat. This reminds me when I was a kid, we'd put on a hat like this and pretend I'm a 19th century mortician. Oh, bury you today, Governor? And you see lots of people would bury governors in the past like that. They come into my beautiful hearse. You can't see it because you're dead and everything. And I had a long black ribbon here to know that I'm a mortician. And I don't know if they embalmed people back in the day, but they dress them up in their best suits and maybe put makeup on, and makeup was made from crushed berries because they didn't have like Mary Kay or something. So if you see those pink Cadillacs pull up to the funeral home, that's what's going on. They're delivering makeup to the beautiful dead people. Oh, what's this one? This one reminds me of Richard B. Schull as Fast Eddie DeNova in the Great Blue Lake Land and Development Company episode of Rockford Files, Season 2, Episode 6. Look, hey, Rockford, let's fool them. I remember meeting you in prison, Rockford, and now you need me to be a confidence man, but for good, possibly. And that's what I want to do, is be a confidence man for you. I want to give you confidence in your imagination and your creativity. And that's what you need. Sometimes all we need is somebody to believe in us. We need some confidence. So why not get Fast Eddie DeNova to come and give us a little confidence with his hat? Oh, what's this one? Oh, this is my favorite one. I used to do this when I was a little kid too. We'd dress up and say, I'm a Japanese movie director. Am I Kurosawa or Ozu? Kurosawa, Ozu. Kurosawa, Ozu. And we go back and forth like that so many times. So you go, say, Ozu, Kurosawa. Like that. That's what we do. And all the kids would laugh in our neighborhood. A lot of the kids would play war. I'd say, no, I want to play Tokyo Story. So we'd dress up in our kimonos and sit wistfully on a seawall, looking out and going, this is nice, right? Yes. This is one of my favorite hats. I like this one. This is, I say, hey, I'm selling turquoise jewelry at the Georgia 400 flea market. Would you like some? And I got weapons in the back. So if you need anything, like I got nunchucks, some nunchaku, and I got also lots of, it's not technically a throwing stars. I made them out of tinfoil, but I like that. I like to pretend I'm other people. Oh, this one's good. This is good for my glasses because here I'm a junior soprano. I'm junior sample soprano. Oh, Jersey City. salute. Remember they do that and say, hey, I want somebody killed. Who do you want killed? I don't know. Minnie Pearl? Golly, I hope not. Oh, don't kill Minnie Pearl. I hope, thank God she's already dead, so nobody's going to murder her like they did String Bean. What else we got? Oh, kids, we used to do this. Say, oh, I'm Stravinsky. People don't understand Rite of Spring. It's not angry. Those are emerging flowers and everything. Those are seeds. Do you ever imagine that you're a seed emerging out of the ground? No. All right, well, give it a shot sometime. Or imagine that you're some kind of Russian composer. A lot of times our imagination said, we just played like cowboy and stuff. What? Did you not have access to good hats? I think the better hats you have access to, then the better you can use your imagination. Like I say, it's variety. So try to get something that's unusual, like this one. Oh, you know what this is? This is an unusual one. What is that, a baseball hat? Yes. So it's from the team called the House of David. So you might know it from the Buddy Rich tape, where it's like, no beards, you look like the House of David. Well, what he's you're blowing clams out there. Oh. So I'm pretending to be Buddy Rich, but House of David was a baseball team back in the day when they thought wisely that baseball itself was not nearly entertaining enough. And so they'd have this team, one of them called House of David, and they'd have long beards, and they'd come out there and they'd play baseball, and you go, hey, House of David, House of David. Oh, I like this one too. This goes good with the beard. Let's see, who am I? I'm the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Hey, y'all, come join my cult. It seems like a nice thing. Oh, we're all friendly to one another. But there's secretly dark undertones. But it's really friendly. Oh, I don't want to scare you. You don't have to join any cult or anything. I'm not going to make you join a cult. I have actually used this one sometime. I also look like a preemie. A lot of times they'll put hats on them because it'd be very cold. And then they'll also put little preemie gloves on so they won't, it's like butchies in their hand. You don't want them to scratch your face because they're brand new and they have, preemies come out looking like they have like Lee press-on nails. And you're scratching your face up. I better put on those gloves until you learn not to do it. And so, you're hitting yourself. I've never used my hands before. Imagination is like that. You say, why does it hurt when I use my imagination? And I quote the Matrix and I say, because maybe you've never used it before. Or you're using it too much and there's some chafing. And so why don't we dial it back for a few weeks and I'll give you some cream and then your imagination will be all cleared up. And also probably the redness will go away. Thank you so much. Because we're visiting, I can't get over how excited I am that you're here in this house, even though it is my head. And I didn't have a chance to straighten my head and you say, I want to clear my mind. Whoa, don't ever do that. I think a cluttered mind is a fine thing. If I cleared my mind, I wouldn't have half of these things in it. And again, I don't know what they are, but I can see them and they excite me and I may need them. And I feel like you can keep a lot of things in your mind, whereas you can't always in some of these old houses that don't have a lot of closet space, and you're tempted to go get an armoire. But then once you buy an armoire, you think, gosh, what am I going to do with this heavy piece of furniture once I don't need it? That's why your mind is a superior place. Now, I have a friend coming over. I have a couple friends coming over. And usually, they're just my friends that you've met. But I found that since we're doing this, and we're meeting in a new way, I'd introduce you to some new friends. And so I want you to meet a friend of mine, and he's an older fella, and his name is Raymond. Now, Raymond and I, we meet outside of Food World all the time to talk, and we talk about life, and Raymond's really showed me a lot. So I'd like to introduce to you my friend, Raymond. Hi, Raymond.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate you, and I just want to say I really am grateful you let me on the show here and everything, and it was a real nice surprise.
Well, we've had some really good times talking outside of a food world. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we have. We sure have. I go up there about every day, and I whittle a stick or two when I get up there. I got my little pocket knife, and I like to sit there and whittle and talk with people and everything, and see them go in and out. It's just kind of like, I guess, cosmopolitan in a way. You get to see people coming and going and have good conversations with people, and then, Lord God, these children are running around and things, and they want to sit there and whittle with you, and that's about what I like to do in there. I was over there the other day, and Lord God, seemed like they brought a truck in there that had some kind of a wild-looking painting on the side of it there and everything, and I believe they had the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile there one time a few years back, and you just liable to see anything, I guess. But yeah, I sit up there sometimes and talk to people, and of course, I belong to a ministry that passes out dumb suckers to children that needs them, and sometimes I come up there with a sack of dum-dums and start giving them to kids that maybe ain't had no suckers in a while. And I sure do enjoy that and everything, and talking to people. And there's a lot you can be grateful for, and I think about that and the world and the way things just went. And here lately, of course, there's bad things on the news, but there's good things too. And I got a sister who's in the hospital, and God bless her heart and everything, and we're all praying she comes out of there. But I seen a thing in the newspaper the other day too, where there was an old boy that seemed like he read about somebody needing a kidney, and he give them one. And I think the world's full of people like that, and people that do you a good turn. And I try to do what I can. I got seemed like some kind of buy one get one free coupon the other day to go down there to Little Caesars, and Lord, I don't need it. I don't care for pizza myself, and I give it to my neighbor, and God, he was over the moon about it. He said, well, there's going to be 2 pizzas here tonight we're eating. I said, well, you have at it there. But that's just, I try to dwell on them things. It's a thing where, this old world, and ain't no telling where it's going. There's people skidding off the roads, and there's black ice on the roads, and Lord God, the drunks come out on the road about 10 o'clock at night. And, I say, be careful, and, just get out there and do your best. But at the same time, though, that ain't all that's going on. We've all the time curing things and curing diseases and whatnot, and they've made, Lord God, they've got shoes comfortable what they used to be. I know that, and I'm grateful for that. And Lord God got insoles in mine and everything, and it seemed like it don't hurt to walk like it used to. But at the same time, though, I know that they're doing things they were not to do. Science, and seemed like science has got out of hand. They shot a chimpanzee into outer space, and back in the 60s and 70s, and God, I don't know what happened to him, if he come back or not. But at the same time, it's just always kind of like a good and evil. I like that, and I just try to be a little bit more on the good side. Listen to some good old singing, and try to call my grandboy every now and then when I get a chance. Of course, he's into that whole Dracula makeup and everything like that, and I don't get it myself, but he sure does enjoy it, but I say, whatever he enjoys and likes, if he gets something out of it, I'll for sure stand right there with him and just say amen. And there ain't much left to say about it, but he's got in a little trouble. He's got that ADHD real bad, and seemed like he was fooling around and tore up somebody's property there a few months back. But I believe he learned his lesson. He's a good old feller. And I can remember him used to sit in the middle of the truck there, used to sit in the middle seat there and fool with my knobs and sing Hank Williams in the car and everything. And seemed like I was just yesterday doing that, and now he's grown up and painting his face up like a, I don't know, like a Haint and like it's Halloween or something like that. And well, he's just being himself, I guess. And that's all we can do in this world. And that's about all there are to it, buddy.
Oh, thank you, Raymond. That's a wonderful thing to say. You know, I like talking to Raymond. Raymond's one of my heroes, and I like having friends. Sometimes, though, I like to pretend that I'm somebody different. And one of those people is Doctor Who. Sometimes I like to pretend that I'm Doctor Who. Now, he might not be a superhero, but and that's why I like to talk about Doctor Who. Who? Like who? You maybe. See, he's eternal. And, well, he can die, but he comes back again like that. We can't do that. But he doesn't have any special powers other than he has a magic screwdriver. And the magic screwdriver can open locks and things, but a lot of it is just confidence. He's confident in his intellect. And no matter how smart you are, you should have confidence in your imagination and your intellect. Because whatever you are, it's probably good enough. Why do we think it isn't? Because other people get in here, into your head. I'm in your head. Yeah, you are. And sometimes you make me lose my confidence, Butch. I got to be honest. Oh, because you're stupid? No, but I'm not stupid. But if you keep telling me that, even inside my own head, see, let me do an experiment. I should be able to control what Butchie says. I think you are a very smart and loving person. Now, the real Butchie might not say that. I happen to think that he thinks that, though. And it's not wrong to have an imagination that's aspirational, let's say. The way you want things to be. Maybe they're not going to necessarily be that way, but you can imagine them. And if you don't start thinking about it, it really won't happen. You know what? I don't even think I asked Raymond about what he was doing, whether he could imagine things or ever use his imagination. So I might ask him that. If you don't mind, I want to have Raymond back. And he's not a puppet. He's a real person. Because it's my imagination. I just don't remember what he looked like. So let me ask you a question, Raymond. Do you ever use your imagination?
Well, I mean, I myself, I guess, pretty simple fella. Usually don't sit there and go too far off on a fantasy, but I tell you what, I sure do enjoy it when people can. You know, I like that show Walker, Texas Ranger. It's on television. It's on reruns now, but I think about all them old characters and things. And, you know, one of the great things about using the imagination is you can imagine things that touch people's hearts. You know, I used to watch that Hallmark channel, and there was a commercial on there, seemed like for Werther's Originals, about an old man, and that used to bring a tear to my eye, see that commercial there. And, you know, somebody just kind of come up with that, I guess. I mean, it really, you know, it was something that didn't happen, but they just kind of entered their mind there, you know. But I like imagination and sitting there kind of daydreaming and things. I used to do that when I was a boy, you know. I sit and watch the clouds go by, and, you know, Lord God, there's one looks like an old mule, and there comes one, God looks like a box of Chex Mix or something like that. And I used to do that and things. And, you know, I do like that. Sometimes when life gives you a bad turn, you can sit there and use your imagination and go someplace, you know. I think about, you know, kind of what things will be like here when we die. And I think about, might kind of look like Gatlinburg when you get there. And, you know, there might be a funnel cake or two you can eat. And, Lord, maybe some good old bluegrass music or something like that you can hear. And, you know, that's what I imagine. Of course, that probably ain't nothing like what it'll really be, but I think about that sometimes. And course, I daydream things and all that, especially when I've had me a pot pie late at night, I sit there and, Lord God, I guess it kind of goes to my brain a little bit. And sometimes I write my dreams down, and that's kind of like imagination.
Well, do you have any words of wisdom for our friends out there? A lot of people.
Why, buddy, I don't have no great wisdom or nothing like that, but I just say every chance you get, just sit there and think about all the old good things in your life, maybe you found a nickel in your pocket, or, maybe somebody come and did you a good turn and done something nice for you, or spoke a good word, or, maybe you had an extra thing of tuna fish in there you didn't even know you had, or, maybe they was, somebody that sold you a tar at a real good price or something like that. And those are things to be grateful for. And I just say you count up all your blessings and name them one by one. And before long, you look back, you've had you a good life.
Oh, I think that's really good advice. Raymond's good at that. That's why I like to have friends that are all sorts of ages and experience, because that's how I learn. And that's how I expand my imagination. It started when I was very young. When I was a child, I would sit in my bedroom and I had a lot of stuffed animals. The funny thing is, I don't really see any of them here today. I thought I would. I thought I'd remember every one of my imaginary stuffed friends. They were like companions, and my bed was full of them. Some of them looked like things like a monkey or like a lamb. Others were sort of strange, like just some sort of stuffed blob of something with one eye, but I loved them all. And I would play a little game in there sometimes. I would sit up on the headboard of my bed that had shelves in it, and I would sit up there, and maybe I would even put a crown on, and I would pretend to be their king. Their king? Now, what kind of a fantasy is that, Hearty? What kind of an anarchist are you? Are you a monarchist? Well, no, it's just this. Children feel powerless sometimes. They are the least powerful people, aren't they? And so when they have games and they have an opportunity to use their imagination, they imagine themselves the most powerful of all beings. And a lot of times, because of storybooks and history, they imagine that they are kings. And so I would sit there and I would put all my friends in front of me, all my subjects. And I would not lord over them necessarily, but I would speak to them and say, I know that I'm your king. I feel very powerful. I am, because of my ability to speak and to locomocate, is that it? Locomotion, move around, that I'm the most powerful thing in this room. So I accept that I am your king and sovereign, but I am a compassionate king. I'm learning to use the power that I might have over other beings who are not as powerful as I. So as a child, as someone who didn't have any control over others, who had to go everywhere that they were told to go, to do everything that they had to do. You have to be at school at this hour. You must wear these clothes. No, you can't leave the house with your fun socks on. You have to put your serious socks on. Children can't make many choices. And so I would imagine that I was powerful. But then I would also imagine how to deal with that power. Because I loved my friends, my stuffed friends. The last thing I wanted to do is make them feel as powerless as I felt as a child. And so what I was learning by using my imagination, by pretending, was how to be compassionate. There are times when we have maybe control over somebody, even if we don't want it. We're maybe in charge. Maybe we're the boss at our oil changing business. And we've got an employee and they have something's going on in their life or something. And if we have not imagined ourselves in their position, if we have never imagined ourselves a king or a pauper, see, I like that story as a child too. There was a story called The Prince and the Pauper, which I don't think I say right, but I wanted it to sound like pauper because he wasn't popping things. He was poor, but poor kid. Prince and the Poor Kid would have been a better name, but the poor kid had a rough life, and maybe even the prince had a rough life because he was still a child, and they still told him what to do. But they changed places because they were strangely twins, even though they were unrelated. And this happens in evolution a lot. There are dinosaurs that look like hippopotamus, but they're not hippopotamus. It just so happens they both lived in an aquatic environment, and they had some kind of evolution that is, never mind. They looked alike. They were twins. Maybe it was the king's illegitimate child. We don't know. But they switched positions. And so they understood one another then. They walked in each other's shoes, literally. Now, all that wasn't real. It was in a story that was read to me as a kid. And I imagined that I was the prince or the pauper. And actually, in my case, I imagined that I was a third character, the little chubby friend or something. So I'd be like, what are we doing today, Prince? Hey, you're not the prince. You're missing that mole on your forehead. It's on the wrong side. Something like that. I would always like and imagine myself as a sidekick. I just felt more comfortable there. I didn't want to be the center of the story necessarily. It's nice often to imagine yourself off to the side. Maybe I'm doing that. Maybe I'll talk to Hearty. I'm Hearty's sidekick. I'm over here. You're barely on. Where are you? I'm barely on this. That's Hearty over there. Sometimes that's better than standing right in the middle here. But friends, I don't mind standing in front of you. I don't mind inviting you into my head. It's a very private place. And usually I keep it to myself. But I think it's important to bring you inside so that you can understand how my mind works, and maybe you'll feel normal, or maybe you'll realize, hey, I'm weirder and more inventive than Hearty. Yes, of course you are. You know, I like to read stories to children too, because like A Prince and the Pauper, it stimulates my imagination. Miss Kim, thank you so much. That's so nice. I can't hear you clapping, but you should clap for Miss Kim. She's so nice. So I used to have my favorite books were adult books that had been simplified for children. And so this is the children's William Wordsworth. Now, William Wordsworth, sometimes the things in my imagination fall off because I imagine glue, and it's hard to imagine glue that really sticks. And so you'll probably see some of the things will just spontaneously crush to the ground. That's because I'm losing my concentration talking to you. Once I get it back, the mouse's head will fly back onto the kitchen television console. William Wordsworth had a friend named Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and they were like the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck of the late 18th century. And this one is more like the Ben Affleck because he doesn't have any hair, William Wordsworth. And the other one, unlike Matt Damon, was a drug addict and gave us The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. I'm getting them confused, or Jason Bourne. I don't know which one it is. The Ancient Mariner wakes up one day, he's like, who am I? Fell over on a boat. Water everywhere. All the slimy things under me. Blah, 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 wedding guest. I'm summing up. I hope I'm not spoiling the Jason Bourne movies for you. He finally finds out who he is, though. Well, this is William Wordsworth for children. And I'm going to read this. I love this as a child. It's called The Leech Gatherer. One day I was walking in the Scottish moors. Here he is walking in the Scottish moors. Can you see him? Fella's out there. And I came upon an old man standing by a stream. Here's the old man standing by a stream. Oh, can you look at him? I said, nice day, isn't it, old man standing by the stream? But he just looked at me with a confused look. because you don't often just speak to strangers when you're walking on the Scottish moors like that, especially when they're staring into a stream and using their stick to hit the bottom of it. There's a lot of words on that page. Some pages have just pictures and others have lots of words. "What are you doing there, old man, with your stick standing by the stream?" said the pretentious poet. "I'm poor, goodly sir," who might be a lady because I can't tell from the way you're dressed, but I see that you have a receding hairline, so I don't know. I don't want to misgender you. "However, I am farming, gathering leeches." Here he is picking up the leeches. "I put my bare old man feet in the water and leeches stick on him. And then I get all full of leeches and I pull them off and I pull them in a basket and I bring them to the market." Here he is bringing the leeches to the market. "Oh, old man who I pity, you were making me think of my own mortality and writing poetry, which is a lot like getting leeches stuck to you." Here he is getting the poet, getting leeches stuck to him. "All right, well, why don't you just continue on your walk, poet, because I got to concentrate with these leeches on me, because if I let them stay there too long, they'll suck all the blood out of me and I'll feel faint, and then there'll be giant blood-engorged leeches." And then they walk off. The poet walks off. Thank you so much. I loved that story as a kid. How do I look today? I wanted to dress up for you. I don't usually dress up when I do the radio show. I do have clothes on, though. Some people say, "Hearty, are you always dressed when you do the show?" Yes, in fact, sometimes I will dress up because I feel like when I dress up, I'm ready to go somewhere. I imagine myself speaking to you like this, even though I never see you when I'm actually on the radio. And right now, I'm not seeing you either because two reasons. One, you're not on the monitor. And two, in television, you're not supposed to stare at yourself with the monitor because you become hypnotized by your own image. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep talking to you. You know, when I picked out this bow tie today, I was thinking I'd really like to put on a pink bow tie. Why is that? Well, because I was remembering the Three Stooges. And I was remembering a time that the late Mo Howard, Zakrona Livraka, said when he and the boys were pretending to be barbers when they weren't, and he was shaving a man with a straight edge razor, he said, "Sir, were you wearing a pink bow tie?" "No." "Then here's your lower lip." Well, what he was saying is that sometimes if you cut off someone's lower lip with a straight edge razor and you don't know what you're doing, it can fall on their chest and look like a pink bow tie. So when I put this one on, I was thinking, I don't really want it to look like a severed lower lip. And that is one of my tips for dressing up. And also, if you enjoy that story, then you might enjoy a story by the Japanese short story writer Shiga Naoya, who wrote The Razor, which is like that early 20th century short story. He's one of the grandfathers of Japanese short story. And it's a fun story about a fella with a razor who cut somebody's throat. Oh, don't do that either. Why are you being so gruesome? I'll tell you why. Because your imagination doesn't need to be polite. Your imagination can be anything you want it to be. You don't have to control it. We can't banish dark thoughts. They creep up in our minds. Dreams and nightmares. Sometimes they blend together into a dreammare or a nightmare dream. But they come together some way. It's not always consistent. Nothing is. Imagination is daring. Imagination means taking chances that things won't be neat and tidy, that they're going to be messy and crazy, that we are going to see marching refrigerators and things. But they're only scary if you let them be scary. Those things are scary because you're unfamiliar with them. What better way of being intimate with those things than to go inside your head and invite them in? That's why I invite all sorts of people in. Even today, inviting people who aren't me. Now, Lou and Butchie are me. They're parts of me. I'm the compassionate part. And I'm the strong, smart, wise, worldly part. No, I don't know about that. And violent. Okay, it's all right. It's okay to be angry. Sometimes we are angry. And I like to invite all those things in. Well, I want to talk to another one of my friends today, and that's Jesse Clyde. Jesse Clyde's very different than my friend Raymond, but he's also, I think, a really nice person. And so I know that he's also very imaginative and is someone's very different than myself. Hey, Jesse Clyde, I'm going to help you with your Pokemon shirt. Have you ever used your imagination?
Oh, God. Yeah, buddy, I use my imagination all the time. And that's what people said, man. I used to have a sissy. She's my cousin, really, but I called her sissy, and she used to come over and play with her dolls and stuff. And I'd sit there, and I'd be sitting there talking in languages and things I made up. And she's like, "You got too big of a fantasy." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Your imagination too big. You freak me out." And I said, "Well, I can't help that. I used to think I was like that little girl off Stephen King's Firestarter. You remember that show? It was like she could start fires with her mind just by thinking about it." And I thought, well, son, that'd be right cool if you could do that, if you could start a fire with your mind. But, there's probably some kind of deal with the devil involved there that I don't want to get mixed up in.
Well, have you ever imagined that you could fly, Jesse Clyde?
I did imagine I could fly one time when we was at a Christmas parade down there in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I was out there on the second story of a building, and I jumped off of it. And thank God I was all right and everything. I didn't get hurt, but I did land on my head. But yeah, I use my imagination. I like to write. I'm a novelist and stuff. People don't know that, but when I was little, I used to write stories about end times, like the end of the world. Well, then I'd scare myself so much I just wouldn't be able to sleep, so I ain't done that in a while. Yeah, man, I'll tell you one thing about having an imagination is, buddy, it can turn on you, too. If you got a big imagination, you might picture some kind of dang-on thing of chasing you. I remember when I seen that movie, The Matrix. Son, that flipped me out, man. It was like, a lot of it's true, we're running a simulation, man. Like, I got in trouble one time for asking the teacher, she said something to me, I said, "You think that's air you're breathing?" And she didn't even know what to think about it. And I just sat there and said it to her for her. She gave me detention for it. But the thing about it is, it's like, if everything's a simulation, man, it's like, you can find the cheat code and everything. And I think I found it one time, but I think I lost it. But I see that sometimes, man. It's like I'm just like living in the world, son, but there's like computer code all around me, you know what I mean? Like Fibonacci sequences and whatnot. But yeah, I wrote a lot of stories and stuff, man. I wrote a short story, man, about that Geico lizard, man, or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about, that little lizard that comes on TV? Yeah. Well, so in this short story, he starts dating that Flo from the Progressive commercials. He's about two insurance mascots that starts dating. The Geico lizard and Flo, right? She cheats on him, and he kind of goes nuts, and then, their kids get into it, but they're like half human and half lizard.
Yeah, I remember that. Thank you, Jesse Clyde. I'm going to think about that now a lot. That's the thing. Did you ever see a movie like that? Maybe like The Matrix or something, and it stimulates your imagination. Now, you say, well, if I imagine somebody else's movie or somebody else's story, like The Prince and the Pauper or The Matrix, or maybe The Matrix and The Prince and the Pauper are similar stories and I can put them together. That's it. It's okay. You can take things that other people have made and stick them together and make them your own. That's fine. There's really nothing new under the sun necessarily. It's how you assemble them. We're all here together, you and I today. I love this. It's so beautiful that you're in my mind palace. And granted, we're just in the rec room, but when I have guests, I like to bring them here because rec room means recreation, but I like to spell it differently. Oh, you know what gets me stimulated sometimes? Homophones. Homophones are words that sound alike but are different, like rec and wreck. Which one is which? I don't know. They're both similar, aren't they? But you can take them and you can use them as a starting place to go places. All the things here are like that. When I see that cactus, I might imagine that I'm in the desert. I'm in the desert with, oh, hello. I don't remember her. I guess she's in there somewhere. She's got a motorcycle helmet on. I wonder if we went riding together. I did go riding one time on a motorcycle. A friend had one. I didn't know how to operate it necessarily. It scared me to death, but I wanted to learn how to do it. I wanted to learn how to drive a stick shift too. And so I got in a car one time and I had a difficult time with it. That night I went home and I lay in my bed and I started to think about driving a stick shift car. It was like being in the Star Trek holodeck. Again, that's not your idea. No, it's not my idea. But it's like that, you see? It fleshes it out for me. It gives me a setting to put my own imagination into. It's like fan fiction. The whole world is fan fiction. You see something, you didn't invent the clouds and sky. You didn't make those clouds, but you can see a horse in them where someone else saw a bag of Chex Mix. Like my friend Raymond. You can do something different with it. So when I collect these things and when I think of movies that I've seen, places that I've been to, I assemble them all and I grab them together and I make them interact. Did you do this as a kid? Did you ever take dolls that were completely different? Say, I'm going to have a G.I. Joe and here's something, what's this? The Hulk or something? They don't go together. They're the wrong size. It's like HO trains and mine out or something. They're wrong size. It doesn't matter. When you're a child, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't have to be consistent. They just represent something. So you can experiment. Everything good is an experiment. And where can you do them in complete safety without being judged, but in your mind? Now you may say to me, Hearty White, there's so much else in my mind that I didn't put there. Oh, my parents, my community, the television, the radio, well, not so much anymore. The internet has put so much in my head, Hearty. I don't even know where my thoughts end and other thoughts begin. It seems crowded in there. Now you're telling me to go in my head that has all this stuff. But listen, you might have been misled because a lot of people don't think they're safe in their own mind. We've been taught a lot of times for generations that there's people listening in there, that somehow others will know, that there's no place we can go and just be ourselves, even if we don't know who we are. People say that to me, I thought, just be yourself. I say, I don't know who I am. How can I just be me? Go be you. Look, being me is an experiment that started when I was a child, and it has never ended and probably will never end. The only way I can discover it is to go here, into my mind house. I know I should say palace, but I don't want a palace. I don't want a place with so many rooms that I can't explore them. I don't want to be a complete mystery to myself. I don't mind having little nooks and crannies where I don't know where things are. I don't mind things surprising me. I don't even mind being scared sometimes. It's not bad to be scared or sad. Those can be stimulating. You can learn a lot. And nobody wants to go there without being forced to go there. You know, when you want to go in a haunted house, sometimes people got to kind of push you in. You got to be convinced to go in. But once you're in, whoo, the surprises are stimulating. It's okay to be afraid. And when we're in there, in the haunted house, we know it's a big joke. And we know that the people jumping out are high school students who are rightfully just as scared of you as you are of them, because they know that they're not going to stab you, but they don't know the other way around necessarily. And so we get excited. We get stimulated. Now, inside of your head, is there anyone there? Is there anyone there but you? Well, you say, yes. A lot of times I hear the voice of my parents, but it isn't your parents. We saw Miss Kim. That's Miss Kim, but the real Miss Kim would be saying things. And the real Miss Kim, she'd be entertaining us on the piano, or she'd be making us some fabulous food, or she'd be consoling us when our hearts hurt, or she'd be making us laugh. So I control everything here. This is my world. I'm letting you in to show you that I am truly alone in it and can do what I want. Your mind and your imagination are sacred spaces. Nobody has a right to be in there. And I know that maybe you say, oh, but my religious tradition, I'm supposed to tell people what I'm thinking all the time. People want to know what I'm thinking so they can correct my thoughts. Listen, I'm not telling you to lie, but I am telling you this. I believe this. And you say, oh, are you going to be subversive, Hearty? Yes, I am. I'm going to say something terribly subversive. Nobody has a right to your thoughts. Nobody has a right to your locus solus. Nobody has a right to that. That is a sacred place. Your thoughts are yours. You can believe any crazy thing you want, and you don't have to tell a soul. In fact, you can lie to them. They're going to ask you your opinion because they want to control you. Everybody wants to control you because some people never grow out of the idea that they are a king, and they don't treat their little stuffed animals as if they had souls, as if they were alive, because they don't know what it's like to be a stuffed animal and sit there quiet, mute, motionless, at the mercy of others, completely helpless, more helpless than a child. They don't remember what it's like. And they would want to control or manipulate because they are afraid, and they're afraid of their minds. And so they want you to be afraid of yours. And I say this, oh, no one can go in there. That's your special place. That's your inner sanctum. You don't have to confess or say a thing to anybody. You can be playful. You can be ridiculous. You know, when I'm alone, and I'm truly alone, and I'll pretend I'm alone here, I move my body in ways that I think others would find embarrassing. Why? I don't know. When I was a baby, people loved it. When I was a child and just learning to walk, I could go, look at me, and they would laugh. And then at some point they stopped laughing and they said, don't move that way. You're embarrassing me. Why would you be embarrassed by my joy unless you felt that that joy was being denied to you? I'll say that again, but I don't remember what I said. Why would you deny me my joy unless you felt it was something you weren't getting? Why can't I be myself? Your suit is ridiculous. It brings me happiness. Your shoes are ridiculous. They bring me happiness. What is that hat you're wearing? That is not the fashion. I do not care. Why are you playing dress up as an adult? That's immature. What is maturity? Show me the adult world and I will show you a place that is worse than any nightmare. I will show you a place that has shackles upon itself. I will show you the most beautiful thing that's ever been created, the mind and the imagination that has put itself in a prison voluntarily. Don't ever put yourself in a prison voluntarily. You can do what you want and think what you want, and especially when you're alone, I'm telling you. I'm no therapist and I'm no doctor. I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. But I would say this. I would say that you should dance. You should dance, you should dance, you should dance as much as you can. You should move around in crazy ways. And you should be free. Because we will never be truly free unless We free our minds and our imaginations. I want to thank you so much for coming. I want to thank you so much for being with Hearty White's Imagine That. And I want to thank some people. I want to thank Danny Coy over here on the camera. I want to thank Miss Kim Conley over here. I want to thank Matt Clark. I want to thank my friend Jonathan Moore, who provided all the voices and all the characters of Raymond and Jesse Clyde. There's a Jonathan Moore, little Bubby child. Follow him on Instagram. He's a beautiful person and my friend. And I want to thank John Ferguson, the Big Fresh Apple. We're here in his studios. He's our producer. He's a magnificent friend and a beautiful human being with a great imagination. And I want to most of all thank you, because you're making this happen. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for giving WFMU your resources. And thank you so much. And goodbye, my friends.